Hello there. Welcome to the talk today. It's Lotus, Art of Sacred Embodiment. And we are going through many changes in these videos and on this platform. And everything is moving and conspiring to hit the next timeline. So just letting everybody know, we all are going through our own timeline revisions, particularly if we are doing this consciously and we are actively on our transformational journey. So I make a clarification about that because when we are actively engaging in this process, it is a very different experience. We viscerally experience ourselves, our awareness, our consciousness, our choices, our the things that we are drawn to and the things that we move away from on a regular basis, shifting and changing, because we no longer stay the same that we were, maybe a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, certainly not a couple years ago. So this is definitely speeding up. The planets are assisting all of this, and we all are being given choices day by day, moment by moment. What am I choosing? And we all at different phases and stages are going to be choosing different things, but that's the important thing, that we're choosing whatever our highest alignment is. So I want to talk a little bit about love again and what prevents us from love. One of the things that prevents us from love is our shadow. And tomorrow night we're going to be doing a deep dive into falling in love with our sacred shadow, understanding our shadow, understanding how it inhibits and interferes our evolution, and how we work with that aspect of ourselves in order to go through our maturation, our mastery, our shifts and changes, and our growth spiritually. So I hope you can join us. It's 5:30 Central Time. The link is going to be below in the blog. The information is all in the blog called Becoming Divine, or Divine Becoming. I can't remember which way I have it phrased, but that's where it'll be. So I always break things down, as you know, into phases and stages of our development, of our going up the rungs of the ladder, so to speak, which is really just sinking more deeply into our true essence. For me, love is the fabric of everything. Everything begins to be offshoots of the quality of love. Sorry, I have something in my eye. And yet it is what we're always seeking, but we might term it a little differently. So, for instance, I wasn't always necessarily drawn to love as my ultimate experience, right? I have had different phases and stages where there were different frequencies and qualities that I needed to experience and embody that would open me up to the higher frequencies of love. Now, for me, part of that really clear entry point where I understood that this is what was happening is that I needed, for my own developmental phase and stage, to understand peace and to experience deep peace. Now, on a physical level, we could say, in a big part because my nervous system was highly dysregulated, my adrenals were completely shot, and before I could really open in that higher center into love and really be able to receive it and dance with it and rise in it, I needed to be able to access deeper levels of inner peace. And when I could access peace, which is an expression of love, I could access happiness a little bit more clearly. Happiness versus dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction takes you out of peace, right? Into peace. Neutralizing dissatisfaction allows happiness, and that is an expression of love. Joy is an expression of love. That was my goodness. Excuse me. This fan, I think, is kind of fogging me. So I want to make these distinctions because the subtleties and the nuances of the frequencies that we work with are not black and white. They're not simple. There is not just one way. And the more that we orient ourselves to our own deeper truth, the more that we understand this, the more that we know what is our recipe, right? If we're a blank canvas, or allow ourselves to be a blank canvas, what are the colors that I'm going to put on my palette that are going to bring to fruition the vision that I have, or my soul longing and my soul calling? Now, for another person, they may not be able to access love easily. And right now I'm just talking about personal love, not even divine love. Same with where I was at with peace. It doesn't mean to say that we don't love, but to be able to live from knowing that that is a part of who we are and that we can access it with ease and grace and bloom our own beingness from that place takes practice, and it takes development of our energetics. So let's say a person doesn't feel safe in the world, right? Or even just safe energetically, or maybe they get drained very easily. So I used to experience that as well with my adrenal fatigue. So what that does is that contracts, and that creates a sensation of not enough, right? And so if I don't feel like I have enough energy, or if I don't feel safe, I'm going to contract and I'm going to close down, and that's going to affect my ability to access the frequency of love. If I live from deeper states of fear, this is going to have the same effect, right? So there are many expressions that interfere with the fabric of all that life is, and the fabric and the true essence of who we truly are, which is love. Now, the other thing that I notice, and that I think is fairly common, is that if you're not already oriented in a very heart-centered way, love is not going to necessarily be the main thing on the radar, right? You just might want to be happy. You might like excitement. You might be drawn to, things of the mind, right? And so what we see with this is that our world is created, has been created. It's shifting and it's changing, and it's already really changed depending on where you're oriented. But as we've talked about before, everything has been created to pull us outside of ourselves. So it's much more exciting, right, to know about phenomena, right, which is a natural part of our evolution and our curiosity. Or it is much more exciting to know about what's happening in most recent underground, underneath the pyramids, the discoveries under there, right? Super exciting. And all of that is necessary. And yet, if we don't understand that that's still on a spiritual trajectory is taking us from outside our own deeper wisdom and knowing, cultivating the inner powers, cultivating the inner connection, cultivating our own expansion, we're going to be missing the boat of love as well. And it's much easier to be caught up in all of that than it is to do the deeper internal embodied work. And to choose to live from the power of the subtleties of our own essence. And in many ways, it's not quite as, exciting as what the smorgasbord of the external world offers us. But our true spiritual evolution can't really take root unless we're living from the inside out and really mastering living from the inside out. So I'm saying this because this is also part of what keeps us deeply divided from who we are, and from peeling the layers of the density and the grossness away to access our divine power, to access our divine connection, which is love. And to go through the phases and stages of healing our love for ourselves, our self-honor. That affects how we love our neighbor, right? I'm going to love you how I love myself. The things that I judge about you or might negate about me, that I judge about me, negate about me, have shame about myself, if I'm not paying attention to that, I'm going to create that with you. I'm going to project it onto you. And then there's division, and then there's confusion, and then there's distortion. So coming inside and doing this deeper inner work is imperative to our maturation and our spiritual growth. Because we can be doing all sorts of spiritual activities and practices and modalities, and right? But that's, again, if that's just from the outside in, we're doing ourselves a disservice, because we aren't getting into the truth of what it is that we are doing through this process. We are not actually maturing and mastering and embodying who we truly are, which is our divinity. So it's a bit of a tangent and a bit of a lecture in some ways. And part of that lecturing comes from, I don't mean it to be a lecture, but I think it came across as a lecture. I get super passionate about the inner and the outer. And when we hit certain levels and stages of development, it becomes very clear where we are just, stepping on our own cape, right? We're stepping on our own cape. And so I see people stepping on their own cape. And I know what awaits all of us. the more that we keep opening into this greater field of love. And the ways in which then love is that conscious force that starts to transform us. It is that expression of God. It is that expression of life. Life is love. Love is life. And when we are in love with life, life loves us. And this is the jump that we're taking this year. And many of you I know who are following me, you're doing this deeper work, whatever phases and stages you're at, right? We're doing this work together, and it's not always going to look the same. And yet it's important, I believe, to be able to connect the cognition of what we're doing, not from the intellect, but understand the full scope of how our soul process unfolds, and the love that it entails, the love that it is offering us as we become more embodied. And that changes the world around us. That changes our relationship with self, right? It changes our relationship with our fears, our vulnerabilities, our judgments, our, our own density. And it allows and enables us to be embraced by our own soul presence and the divine. And I know for some people this still isn't like super resonant. It's not super exciting, right? It's not like, woohoo! And yet, this is the teachings of this year. So 2025 has its own consciousness, right? And it is attempting to bring us more and more from our lower centers into our higher centers, and being able to live from the heart space, being able to live from love. Love simplifies everything. And this doesn't mean bypassing, right? This means truly recognizing the inner alchemy process that we are doing. And it is all through love. And this is just going to be the growing force as we continue to move forward. That divine neutrality that isn't excitement, it's peace. It is enthusiasm. And if you go to the Patreon page, I have a embodied moments practice on there that begins to show us experientially, right, with the light language, to move us from excitement, which is what we seek kind of in this outer world, which is an externalized happiness, right, which elevates us into this state in our nervous system, which is a lower expression of what love is trying to lead us to, right? It's different than bliss or ecstasy, which are divine states that are always present, but they are gifted to us by the elevation of the frequency of love. And this is the alchemy. I mean, it's beautiful. I find it super fun. And so, yeah, if you go over there, you get to learn what is the difference between excitement and enthusiasm, and why is enthusiasm what we want to be cultivating in our being. Because that becomes a more sustained space within us, where there is a reciprocity of energy that flows. The 3D construct is an extraction paradigm. And we'll talk about that at a different time, right? It takes. So everything I'm talking about when we're out there, even if it's good stuff, right? It's good content. Even if, you know, even what I'm sharing here could be felt as a taking, because this is the medium that we work on. It takes our energy out of us in order to listen, right? In order to tune in. Unless you know how to choose what and why you're choosing in from your own alignment, and you know how to remain in your body, right? Embodied with a larger presence. And this is the fine-tuning and the refining and the honing that we're moving into. This is the mentorship that I am offering through these classes, through Remembering Your Wholeness classes, stage by stage, right? As we move through each of the classes, they become this refining process. They create a connection to your own inner subtlety. And the more subtle is where our truth is. It's where our spirit is. It's where our soul is. It rests in the ground of our being that is peace, that allows love to effortlessly move through and in and out, and to rise in its higher frequencies. So I'm going to stop there. All right. I hope you join us on the class below. If not, it will be on Patreon. Hop over there. Check out what's over there. I'm not bombarding, the platform with information. That platform is really for those of you who are actively on this trajectory, engaging consciously to support you in going deeper, as is the Remembering Your Wholeness classes. So I hope that you are open to receive if it is aligned with you, and if not, then move about your journey in the most conscious way to your alignment from within. All right. Many blessings. Much love.